Hi, I'm Red. Are you ready for some r/ProRevenge? Red by Red? Right, let's go! Beat a Craigslist scammer at his own game. So I was hunting for a rental house for the Valentine's Day weekend and wasn't finding much, so I popped onto the local Craigslist page and found a place at a decent but very believable price. No contact info or website, so I emailed through the Craigslist relay. Everything sounds legit up until he asked me to pay using Zelle or bank transfer. Immediately, I knew it was a scam, but I played along acting confused because I'd never used Zelle. He sends me the Zelle info to send payment. At this point, I reverse image search the cabin and find the actual property owner info and call them. He confirmed that he's had this scam happen before and angry people show up expecting a rental that's already legitimately reserved and demanding a refund. I give him the links and info to the fake Craigslist posting so he can report it. So now I've confirmed that this is 100% a scam, so I decided to have a go at this guy and see how far I can get. After a few more confused sounding emails regarding how to get the money to him over Zelle, I sent him the request, but instead of paying him, I sent it as a request for payment. I send a few more messages saying it's not going through, and then I get a notification saying a payment has been received. Sure enough, he approved my payment request and sent me the money he was trying to get me to send him. So, I had over $400 sitting in my Zelle account from a guy in Nigeria who was trying to scam me out of my romantic weekend. Oh, that's a nice revenge. Okay, like the video? Yeah, that's it. Click the like button. Good job. Okay, now we can get on with our next story. He punched me over a fender bender. I destroyed his life. I was working as a civilian with the US military overseas, and I lived off base in an apartment complex popular among the US military. One morning, I accidentally hit another soldier's vehicle. Upon exiting the vehicle, I noticed that both our vehicles were what you'd call a hoopty. A hoopty is an old car that is pretty beat up that has been passed around from service to service member, and they generally sell for around $1,000 to $2,000. I also recognized that I was at fault for the accident. It was a very minor accident. His rear bumper was dented in slightly, but I could hear both of our cars still running. I approached the driver who had already gotten out, and he was in uniform, and I apologized and said it was alright with him. I'd like to negotiate a payment that I will pay him in cash, and we don't have to involve the authorities. I wanted to keep this simple. To be honest, the accident was so minor, I honestly expected him to say, "Nah man, it's good." But even if he'd wanted some money, I'd have paid him. I've always been of the opinion, if you have a fender bender and can negotiate agreeable terms between both the parties, it's best not to involve insurance or the police. He told me he wanted to call the police. I said we could go to the police, or we could go on base together and I could give him $300. He said that wasn't enough, so I upped my offer to $500. He proceeded to punch me in the face. It was a sucker punch. He got in his car and took off, and in the process nearly ran me over. Now, I had a black box in my car which recorded everything. I went to the Provost Marshal's office on base, the police station, and reported the accident and the assault and showed the MP the footage, which they used to get his license plate to track him down. I was also asked if I wanted to involve the local authorities or press criminal charges off base. Honestly, I felt like the soldier would learn his lesson if I let UMCJ, the military court basically, handle this, and I said not at this time. I was told it was an option. The end result was the soldier in question got 60 days of extra duty, reduction in rank, and forfeited a portion of his paycheck. Essentially, if he dealt with that, this would have been the end of the whole ordeal. Honestly, at this point, I assumed our little ordeal was over. Well, a few days after his punishment was decided on, which was not long after the incident itself, I was in the commissary, grocery store on base, shopping, when the soldier who had assaulted me saw me and began to insult me. I told him he needed to calm down and that he should learn his lesson. He told me I was a pussy who didn't know how to take a punch. I reminded him that I held back on destroying his life, and he told me he's already been punished and I can't touch him again. He left me be. A store employee witnessed the entire encounter, and I got the employee detail and reported this interaction to his command. His commander told me he'd been ordered to not interact with me and would take action. His commander also recommended that I involved the local authorities since this soldier obviously isn't learning his lesson. So I did. I contacted an attorney. The attorney was unsure if we could successfully sue the soldier and said he would need a cash payment to take the case. Honestly, I was mad and I wanted to teach this guy a lesson. I agreed. It was not cheap. To keep this story short, we ended up in a court off base. We presented our evidence. The soldier in question had decided to represent himself. Several times in the court, he had outbursts. The judge ended up granting me a judgment of approximately $50,000 US. When the judgment was given, the soldier called the judge a son of a bee and that the army would cover for him. So the judge changed his judgment to $80,000. And the judge then asked me if I also wanted to press charges against this soldier in criminal court. Honestly, it was obvious this guy wasn't going to learn a lesson. I told the judge I wanted to pursue criminal charges in addition to the judgment. My lawyer later advised me that if I ever wanted to see the money, I should pursue an international hold. With my judgment, it's likely that a judge would grant me an international hold. An international hold is basically where this soldier would not be allowed to leave the country until I was paid my $80,000. Also, he told me that according to the agreement between the US military and the host country, the US military would honor the international hold. Basically, the US military would not protect him or move him out of country to avoid punishment. Honestly, by this point, I had paid my lawyer thousands of dollars, and I honestly didn't feel like paying thousands of dollars and getting nothing for it. So I said yes, I want to go forward with the international hold. About a month later, the international hold was granted, and the US military was informed of this. 2 months after that, the criminal case was over, and the soldier was sentenced to 90 days in jail. By this point, the soldier had been moved onto the base into his barracks by his commander. I remember the day I was informed the MPs handed him over to the local authorities to begin his 90-day jail sentence. Did I mention he still owed me $80,000? I had nothing for a year, and then one day I got a call from his commander. His commander wants me to make a statement in regards to the case. I go in, make the statement. During the statement, I find out the US military was in the process of chaptering the soldier out of the military. The commander also informed me that he was close to coming up with the money to pay me so he could have the international hold lifted. The commander also asked me if my lawyer would be willing to make a statement. I contacted my lawyer, who also made a statement about the facts of the case. A few weeks later, his ex-wife contacted me. When this all started, I knew he was married. Yes, his wife decided to divorce him. She informed me that her ex-husband had the money and needed the details on how to pay me. I provided her the details, and a few days later I got the payment and contacted his ex-wife to inform her I'd been paid. She then asked me to send a receipt so he could have the international hold lifted and return to the States. I asked her how he got the money. She said he maxed out his credit and also had family help out. Also, during this conversation, I found out the army had chaptered him out of the military. I sent her the receipt, and that was the last I ever heard from his side. I took his $80,000 and bought myself a brand new car and used the rest of the money to put a down payment on an investment property. Some people just have problems and need help, and I think this soldier needed some help. Those were some proper revenge stories, that's for sure. Definitely r/ProRevenge. And they were read by me. Read. So make sure that you like the video, because it gives me a nice warm fuzzy feeling. And also subscribe to my channel, because that's also really nice. I like it a lot. Makes me happy. And then you get to hear my stories every day. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Bye.